So President Trump has a spiritual advisor. That already is pretty problematic. I think that this is not a position that should be in the government because, again, it's religion inside the government, and religion has no place inside the government. Nonetheless, this spiritual advisor is Paula White, and she's basically nothing more than a right-wing hack who uses religion to try to justify Trump's terrible policies. One of those policies happens to be immigrant detention. Now, she said this week that if Jesus would have been sinful and would not have been our Messiah if he had broken immigration laws. So basically, well, look, we wouldn't be celebrating Jesus if he broke immigration law. Fascinating. Now, White recently toured an immigrant detention center in Virginia and said during an interview with CBN, that's Pat Robertson's network, that there was a difference between immigrants being detained for illegally entering the U.S. and Jesus being a refugee in Egypt. She said, the Gospel of Matthew describes Jesus and his parents Mary and Joseph fleeing Egypt shortly after Jesus' birth to escape King Herod, who sought to kill the infant. And she said on that, I think so many people have taken biblical scriptures out of context on this to say stuff like, well, Jesus was a refugee. And yes, he did live in Egypt for 3.5 years, but it was not illegal. If he had broken the law, then he would have been sinful, and he would not have been our Messiah. So first, there's a lot of stuff that I want to break down in this. A lot of problems here. Number one, of course, being that, as I mentioned before, what the hell is the Bible have anything to do with government? There needs to be a wall between a wall that separates church and state. Period. Wall of separation. Okay, anyway. Mentioning that, let's go to something else. I don't think there was a thing called illegal immigration back then. I'm just saying. I certainly don't think that they had people going out there, the Egyptian equivalent of ICE, out there saying, oh, no, hold on here. You need documents. You need documentation to cross the border in the country. I don't think that was a thing. Number 3, she talks about how, well, it's different because Jesus was a refugee. These kids were also refugees. These families. Look, they were fleeing war, disease. Well, not disease, sorry. But war, gang violence, poverty, etc. And look, most of these families, I think the vast majority of these families, when they were coming in to the United States, they surrendered themselves to Border Patrol. They said, we are here to request asylum because we are fleeing our homes. We would like to request asylum, which is how you're supposed to actually do it. So, by definition, they are not illegal immigrants because they have asked for asylum the legal way, which is the way that you're supposed to do it. So, in essence, they actually are not breaking the law, and therefore, according to your own criteria, are just like Jesus in that respect. Anyway, speaking of Jesus, right, breaking laws. Now, what happened to Jesus? Oh, right, he happened to be crucified by the Roman government. Now, why would he be crucified by the Roman government? Oh, right, he must have broke some laws. And they just didn't randomly crucify people, did they? You had to have done something to deserve that fate. And so, oh, Jesus, not a lawbreaker? Actually, I kind of celebrate some of the ways that Jesus broke the law. For example, he went up into the temple with a whip and started whipping the money changers. That is fucking boss. That's badass. I wish more people would do that today. Look, and finally, and on the bankers thing, by the way. So she wants to talk about how, there's, if she wants to use the example of Jesus, right? Jesus, as I said, with the bankers, drove them out of the temple. The Trump administration, whom she serves, invited the bankers into the administration. I'm just saying, you want to follow Jesus's example, well, you best get yourself a whip and start, well, if there are any Goldman Sachs members left in the administration, you might want to start whipping. Whip it good. Just saying. But finally, on immigrants, look, here's the thing. The Bible, if you read it, you would know that it's literally filled with passages that say things like immigrants, you should treat immigrants like you would your own family. It's in there. It's numerous passages, Old and New Testament, say, treat immigrants well. Treat the immigrants as if they are your own people. It's in the Bible, I swear. It is in there if you actually open it up and fucking read it. But here's the real problem. Most people don't. Most people who call themselves religious will go out and cherry pick. For example, the one thing, and I love how she talks about, oh, you know, people take the scriptures and stuff, and they take them out of context. On the numerous passages talking about how, hey, you should welcome immigrants into your home, into the country, and treat them like family. Numerous. But they always go back to one passage to go after gay people. Man should not lay with another man, as they do a woman. One passage in the Old Testament, which is supposed to be invalid anyway if you know your religion, because it's the New Covenant. Look, I'm an atheist and I know all about this stuff. Why? Because, well, reading the Bible is what made me an atheist. Like, oh, a lot of this doesn't make fucking sense. Well, I read it. There's good stuff in it, like the stuff about immigrants, and there's so many terrible things in it, and then there's just shit that don't make sense. But this is, I'm going to try to do more or less Bible critique and more critique on this hacky, spiritual advisor. So the point is, though, that you have these people that are willfully reinterpreting the Bible in order to fit their own political narrative. And then they go out and later say, oh, no, what are you talking about? I'm a great Christian. I'm following the Bible. No, you don't. You're not following the Bible. What you're doing is that you're using this as a vehicle to trick dumb people who actually haven't read their Bible, don't know what's in it. And then you tell them and you say, well, you're supposed to hate these people. These are the people you're supposed to hate based on my interpretation of the Bible that I'm telling you because you haven't read it and you haven't interpreted it yourself. And of course, who do they hate? The immigrants. Some interpret it to hate the poor. Which, of course, again, if you actually read the Bible, if you read it, it's full of, as I said, contradictions. But the one thing it never contradicts, the one thing it never says anything terrible about is you need to make sure to treat the poor and immigrants with respect. Because those people are the kingdom of God, right? Those people are the blessed. Blessed are the poor. However, again, the modern Republican Party is not about the poor. They're about protecting the rich and corporations. They go against exactly what the Bible was supposed to be about. Poor people, immigrants, the downtrodden, the dregs of society, the wretched, on and on and on, right? Well, the modern Republican Party, while certainly wretched, is not about those things. They don't protect the poor. They hate the poor. They hate the immigrants. And it's all political. And so when it's all political, it ends up not being very Christian of them, which I suppose is the point. And again, using religion to hate other people is a tale as old as time. And Paula White continues that fine tradition in service of the Trump administration. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron. at patreon.com/TYTNation.